Welcome to an Ultimate Bow class, guys. Let's get started. Let's start off by bowing in. Attention, bow. Today's class, guys, is going to be primarily focused on thrusts and pokes. If you have a bob with you, that's great. If not, that's okay too. We can always practice in the air. So let's get started. Starting off, we're going to start with some high knees. We're going to get a warm up, just get our blood pumping a little bit. Now, they don't have to be super high knees. All we're going to do is just kind of do some knee raises so that we can get that blood pumping. I like to kind of mix around my grips when I'm going through my high knees, going back and forth. Overhand grip works well for this one. Just nice and easy. If you're just watching, get up off the couch, guys. Join me. Get a little bit of a weekend sweat in. Good. Shake it out. Next one we're going to do, butt kickers. Okay. So we can still have our bow up like this. All I'm going to be doing is just raising my back heels, trying to hit my own backside. So this one's just meant to be, again, warming up the lower body, just so that we're nice and limbered up for our workout with Bob. Nice and easy. And again, if you want to switch the bow, you can switch grips as you're going, just to get that comfort level, get comfortable with your bow, make sure that you're feeling good with it. Good. Shaking it out. Do a couple of arm rotations. Get those shoulders warmed up. We've got a good workout plan today, guys. And the wrist. Good. Now we're going to do the other side. Usually about five circles in each direction is usually what I go with. And then some wrist rotation. Always like to make sure that I get that upper body warmed up, particularly the shoulders, if I'm doing any type of a bow workout. And we're going to go back the other way. Good. Shaking those arms out, or shaking those legs out, and the arms. Okay, we're going to start off with just doing some uppercuts, and then we're going to move into some different strikes. For this one, all I'm going to do is just start off in a right fighting stance, and I'm just going to come around and move into my uppercut. I want to make sure that I've got that nice arcing motion. When I do these ones, guys, I really like to make sure that I'm getting that nice windmill motion. If you'll notice, it's coming around and then up. I'm trying to stop it on a dime. And my backhand is really assisting with the manipulation of the bow. I want to make sure that it's moving in like a push-pull type motion, okay? So let's just keep going through this one. We're going to switch sides soon. I'm just giving you guys some different angles to have a look at. Okay, let's switch sides. We're going to go left dominant. Again, I'm in that right fighting or left fighting stance now. Coming around. The reason I like this one, guys, for a warm-up is it really helps with getting the range of motion for my upper body, warming up my shoulders quite a bit, and it gives me that opportunity to kind of work on some of the fundamentals of ultimate bow. Again, I'm making sure that I get a nice windmill motion. Switching directions. If you'll notice, this one can be done statically. You could start it in a neutral stance and step into it. Sometimes I like to mix it up, and I'll just go in like a back stance and do my uppercut. Good. Shake that out. Next one we're going to do is an overhead front strike for our warm-up. Again, getting those shoulders nice and warmed up. I'm going to get in my right dominant, prepare the bow, overhead front strike. I want to make sure that it's fully chambered on my arm, coming down. My hand slides, I stop it on my hip. I make sure I get that wrist snap, and I want to make sure that I have really nice posture. I don't want this back heel coming up, okay? So together with me, we're just going to be warming up. You don't have to kill it on those openers. We just want to kind of get that light sweat going and preparing for an intense workout, okay? Switching directions. Really focus on keeping that back nice and straight. Sometimes the tendency is that people want to dip into it. We don't want to dip our head into that strike. We want to have nice, clean posture. I've had people ask me before, why does that front foot come in? The way I look at that is it's a really nice counterbalance. So it's coming in, and it's kind of assisting with the power of the strike. As I'm stepping out into the strike, it's almost like it adds some power into that strike. Switch directions. Make sure, guys, you get that chamber, that bow, get it perfectly horizontal on your shoulder. Of course, if my right foot is in front, I'm chambering the bow on my right-hand side, and vice versa. We're going to switch over to left dominant, okay? Left foot's in front, chamber the bow on the left side, move into my overhead front strike. If you're right-handed, this one, like the left-handed strikes in particular, may feel a little bit awkward. Again, when we're going through the warm-up, we want to just get it so that we're getting limbered up. If you want to add more intensity, that's perfectly okay. The goal is, though, we want to just get the muscles warmed up, and it's almost like a little mini technique review that we're dotting all the I's and crossing all the T's for our fundamentals. Let's do a few more on this side, guys, and then we can mix it up. Shake it out. Last one we're going to do for our warm-up, we're going to do some combative front thrusts. The way I want to start this one, I'm going to start in a right dominant, just in like a fighting stance. All I'm going to do, lunging forward into my front thrust, and then I want to pull it back quickly. The reason I want to do that, guys, is it's going to add like a realistic element to the strikes. Pushing off the back foot. Okay. So obviously if we're going along bob, and we'll get into this into our lesson, we want to pick a specific spot looking at it. We're going to follow that spot with our eyes, locating it with the tip of the bow. Again, I'm pushing off my back leg. This is a combative thrust. You can also visualize specific body parts that you're striking on, Bob. Now, you'll notice also, I'm still twisting my wrists. It's giving me that rotational speed that I want. Okay, different angle for you guys. Push off that back foot, guys. We want to make sure that we're generating as much power as we can on that thrust. Stepping into it certainly is going to help with that. Different angle. And again, I don't want to hold my bow out, okay? We want it to be realistically performed. Good. Resting. We're going to take some periodic water breaks. We're going to grab a quick water right now. And we're going to move right into our lesson plan. Just a heads up for you guys. Today, in my dojang, it's probably about 23 degrees in here, but it's getting pretty hot. Okay. We're going to start off with a two-handed thrust on bob. Now again, if we don't have a bob, just visualize, okay? So bob is nice because you get that feedback. So that'll be up to, if you've got one, that's great. If not, just practice in the air because that's totally okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off in a right dominant. All I'm going to do is thrust and make sure I'm pulling back. Now, we can pick specific body parts. So you could go face or body. You could also get more specific if you want. Maybe you're going to go for the nose or the top lip or the throat or maybe somewhere specific on the sternum. That's a great way to do it because what it's doing is it's pinpointing it to the size of, I always call it like hitting a dime. So we want to envision that we can hit with enough accuracy with our bow that, you know, you would hit that imaginary dime. Now that's really hard to do because the surface area of the tip of the bow is not very big. Mine's maybe the size of a quarter. So there's not a lot of room for error on that. But we want to continually try for that accuracy so that we develop that muscle memory. So what we're going to do is just starting off picking a specific body part. I'm going to mix it up. And I'm going to call out where we're going to go for. If you want to call out your own, that's perfectly okay. So this is going to be a follow along portion with me. Again, we're stepping into the thrust and then pulling back. I want to get that retraction and I want to push off that back leg. Okay, and face. Again, twist your wrist, guys. Okay, now I'm going to go for the eyes. Specifically, I'm going to go for the right eye, or my right side, Bob's left eye. Missed. It's amazing how accurate you can get if you keep your eye on the target. Don't look at the tip of your bow. Look at where you're striking. Most of mine are getting very, very close. The odd one's a glancing shot. Missed. Okay, now I'm going to go for the throat. Now I'm going to go for the sternum, particularly right where the rib cage meets. Now, obviously, the trajectory of this bow strike is going to be different because it's not going to have that angle to it. We still want to have that slight chamber, drawing the power, and again, stepping off that back foot. The whole body's really working together on this one. Okay, let's mix it up. Anywhere you want. Throat, neck, eyes, body, mouth, and switch. Okay, so now I'm going to be going into my left dominant. It's going to be the same idea. I'm going to be going through, picking specific targets. Again, I want to make sure I get those key fundamentals in, pushing off that back leg, chambering the bow, rotating my wrists, and I want to look where I'm striking. Is it the eyes? Is it the mouth? The nose? Okay, we're going to start off with just general face. Anywhere that you can hit. Now, if you're right-handed, it may be a little bit tougher when you get into the accuracy shots when you're in that left dominant. Let's go neck. A little low. There we go. That was a good one. And let's go with the solar plexus. Sometimes it takes a little bit of practice, guys, making sure that your eyes are looking where you want the bow to go. It's very common for when you're striking to just look at the tip of the weapon, but really we want to look where we want the bow to go. That's really going to help with your accuracy. Good. Shake it out. Let's grab a quick water, guys. We're going to mix it up a bit. And again, the water breaks are as much for me, guys, as they are for you. I'm working 110% every time we do one of these videos. Okay, moving on. Next one we're going to work on is going to be a one-handed thrust. Okay, so when I'm doing my one-handed thrust, my backhand is going to be the one that's leading. Now, I can still twist the bow. The key on this one, for me, is that I get that twitch in my hip. Okay, there's going to be a lot of power generation from my hip on this one. Now, this one is really difficult to hit that imaginary dime on bob. The goal is that you just try and get it as close as you can and still try and get that hip twist and make sure we're still pulling the bow back. So this one can be done like a variety of ways. So you could actually do it as you're backing up, or you could slide in and step. I like this one quite a bit. It's very deceptive, and it's got like a really nice reach to it. So when we go through it, just keep in mind, you can mix it up going back and forth. To start things off, I'm going to be going forward, and then we'll switch it up and go backwards a little bit as well. Okay, and just starting off with just a general shot to the face, okay, and then back again. I'm trying to get that twitch. I call it a twitch in your hip. This really is a twitching motion, and then you're going to just be sliding that bow in. The lead hand is just kind of like a guide, and it releases temporarily and then grasps once the strike is complete. Together with me. Make sure, guys, get that hip twitch. Missed. Okay, let's go with an even finer target now, okay? We're going to go for the neck. This will be a tough one. It's a very not hidden spot, but it's a really small surface area, and the chin's kind of somewhat protecting it. So we want it to still, so that it's almost coming up just a little bit as it's striking. If you'll notice the trajectory, when I do that one, it's kind of more coming up this way as opposed to if I was striking the body, it'd be more horizontal. So there's a bit of an angle on this one. Good. Okay, let's go on the body now, okay? Feel free to mix it up. Okay, moving on. We're going to do this one now retreating. So the way I envision this one is you're in tight. Maybe you just finished up with some sort of combatives. I'm just backing up and I'm throwing a little poke in there. So what that's going to be intended for is making sure that I keep that distance, okay? So that's kind of my goal, is that it's meant to jam up whoever it is that I happen to be sparring with, or if it was being applied realistically, still going to give you that separation that you want, okay? So for this one, I'm going to be pushing off my front foot, sliding back. It's a very smooth motion once you get it down. This one does take a fair amount of practice, okay? Ready? I like to start my bow kind of in a ready position, sliding back, poke, okay? And for this one, guys, just pick any part of the body you want to focus on. The neck, to me, makes a lot of sense for this one because it's not an overly powerful strike, but if you caught somebody in the throat on this one, it certainly would stop them if they were coming at you. Obviously, if we were bow sparring, it would not be in the neck, but you could do it as a shot to the body, just establishing that distance. Pushing off that front leg is really important. It's going to give us that balance and power. Okay, let's switch to left dominant, okay? So now I'm in left dominant. Again, just going to be hitting various targets. I still want to use that twitch in my hip. Together with me, left dominant. Picking out your own target. I'm going face right now. Specifically, I'm going for the eye. And again, you want to make sure that you want to step into it. If you're at a distance, it's going to increase the power and give you a little bit extra reach. Okay, I'm going to go neck now. Oddly enough, guys, well, not oddly, but I find that for the one-handed thrusts, I have much more control in left dominant, and that's because the right hand is doing the control of the bow. Oh, I missed bad on that one, guys. My bow's getting really sweaty. Right now I can hear Sensei Sarah screaming at me at the YouTube video, "Put some chalk on your hands." She always recommends that to me when it's hot out. Okay, quick water. Next one we're going to work on is going to be a reverse thrust. We're going to do this one a couple ways. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start in a right dominant, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to move in and pick a body part for my thrust. Again, when I'm moving in on my thrust, I'm going to push off my back leg to advance, and then I push off my back leg again. Okay, so I'm here. So what I'm doing is I'm just gaining some distance or establishing moving forward and moving into a thrust. Of course, the other way that we can do this one is if we were locked up with our bows. If I was in a right fighting stance, push off my right foot back and poke as I back up. We'll get into both. The first one that we're going to start on, though, is stepping into the strike. So I'm going to step forward with my left foot and then follow through, and I'm going to pick a certain body part. When I'm doing this thrust, I don't want it down here and shooting up. I want it so that I'm pulling back and then stepping my whole body weight into the strike. Again, you're using your whole body, not just your arms. Okay, so again, it's going to be here. I'm going to be in my right dominant, stepping forward with my left foot, bringing the bow back as I step forward with my left foot, and then doing my strike. And if you'll notice, you can use your hips on this one too. It's going to increase the power quite a bit. It feels really good, and it's just twitching that hip muscle. It adds that little bit of a snap into that strike. Together with me, guys, right dominant. Step forward as I chamber the bow. Oh, I missed. Okay, that's okay. I finished off with a nice follow-up shot, okay? Stepping forward. Keep your eye on the target again. Together with me, we'll start with a face. For this one too, I like to kind of play around and see how far can I do this strike. And that's really learning about your spatial awareness and your distancing with an opponent and how close you'd need to be to actually land this strike. Of course, if the other person had a bow, you've always got to worry about them jamming you with something if you're getting in tight like this, but you could maybe do a curl block and then step in and do your thrust. That one would make a lot of sense. Okay, for now, we're just focusing on that reverse thrust. Okay, let's go neck now. Still chambering that bow back, guys. One more. Good. And again, I'm really trying to make sure I focus on looking where I'm striking. It's just so helpful on these. Okay, let's go body. Okay, again, pushing right into the chest, going for the sternum, like where the rib cage meets, would be great too. Of course, if I'm going that low, it doesn't make sense to cock the bow up too high. It would have to be more that chest level height, or that right where you're striking, because if you're hitting it in a downward motion, you might not get the same impact as the full butt end of the bow. Of course, these strikes can be done in succession. You could move in with a thrust and then moving into your reverse thrust. We're going to get to that towards the end of the class. One more. And now we're going to go from a right fighting stance. We're going to be in fairly close now. I'm going to take my right foot, push back, and thrust. I want it to be one smooth motion as I'm going back. Okay, so I don't want it to look mechanical, which would be like this. Strike, push. I want it to be one smooth, fluid motion going back. So I'm here. Okay, and maybe you would throw a couple. Okay, you could be back here, reverse poke, poke. Maybe you throw two, like the second poke. Just could be a sliding poke. That would be very deceptive to do. Again, I'm pushing off that front foot. If your bows were locked up, you could push and then strike. Of course, if it was bow sparring, it would be to the chest. Okay, getting that chamber though, the last thing we want is here and here. We want to get that snap into the bow. Let's go a couple more on the face. I'm retracting my bow so that I develop nice muscle memory so that my bow isn't potentially disarmed. Let's go 5 on the neck. Good. Okay, 5 to the body, and then we're going to switch it up. Making sure we get that chamber. On this one, I try and keep the bow horizontal. So again, it's a little bit lower. And that, to me, that just makes more sense. Let's do 2 more. And switch. Okay. Left-handed. So what I'm going to do, take my right foot, stepping in, thrust, reverse thrust. Want to push off that back foot quickly to get into that strike. Now my back foot again. If you twitch your hips, you're going to get more power. Together with me, guys, I'm going to step, advance, thrust. Make sure you're picking your target. I'm starting with the face. I like to work down the body. Of course, if you want to go completely random, you know, a game you could do would be have a partner call out the body part, and it's up to you to react. So for example, body, throat, throat, face. Like that, and it just builds like a little bit of like a reaction type drill. Let's go 5 to the neck. Good. and finishing off 5 to the body. Then we're going to get into some starting in tight and then backing away. Good. Okay. So I got to wipe off. My bow gets very sweaty, guys, when I do this. It's great. Okay. I'm going to start in tight. Left dominant. You can push away with your bow as well. Step back, poke, reverse poke. However you want to mix it up, whatever makes sense to you. Okay. The key on this is just getting comfortable with your left dominant or right dominant, depending which hand you normally strike with. Another nice follow-up, guys, is to make sure that after I come back, reverse thrust, I stay in a guarded position. We don't want to develop any bad training habits where we just kind of back away and then get ready. Keep the bow somewhat guarded still, just to add the realistic element. Mixing it up, we're going to go all body parts for this mix-up. We're going to do quite a few. Throw in a reverse poke once in a while too. Those reverse pokes, sometimes they go a little bit wild. It's important to try and keep them controlled as you can. So if the bow is down lower, it's going to be harder to control. If you need a quick water, guys, just grab one and then join back in. Do a few more. Last one. Let's do this one with a reverse thrust and reverse poke. Good. Let's grab a quick drink, use our sweat towels, and then we're going to mix it all together. Okay. If you guys can't tell, I sweat like a beast when I train. Okay, here we go. We're going to go with a mix-up now. Now, this is kind of like a free-form section of the class. This will be our last part of the class. Now, we can do whatever we decide. You can go thrust, reverse thrust. Maybe you want to drop an overhead front strike. The goal is let's try and do a combination of 2 thrusts. You can either follow along with me or do your own variation of whatever you think makes sense. To start off is what I'm going to do is I'm going to go forward thrust, reverse thrust, overhead front strike. To me, this one just flows really nicely together. I'm moving in on my opponent, backing them up, and then I'm changing the angle on the final strike, which would be fairly disruptive and possibly catch them off guard. Okay, so again, I'm going to push off, bring back, push off, come down, hit them with an angle 1 strike. Together with me, and 1. 2. Try and mix up the angles. Try and go body, throat, something along that line. 3. 4. And 5. Switch sides. I'm going to do the same one on this side. So I'm going to go front thrust, reverse thrust, overhead front strike. I still want to make sure I'm twisting my hips, get that power generation. Together with me, guys, on your own combination, or following along with me. And 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Good. Shake it out. Last one we're going to be working on, guys. We're going to go forward thrust, reverse thrust. We're going to slide back and poke. Other variation that you could do would be forward thrust, poke, reverse thrust. Okay, so I'm going to be moving in and then moving back out. Together with me, and feel free to mix up the strikes. I think is what I'm going to do is I'm going to go forward thrust to the body, reverse thrust to the face, and then when I back out, I'm going to try and hit the face again. Again, when you're backing up on that reverse thrust, really make sure that your non-dominant hand is doing a nice job of leading the strike, okay? Because that one's like a high accuracy strike. So again, forward thrust to the body, reverse poke as I back away, paying attention to my footwork. And 1, 2, 3, 4, forget what number I'm on. Let's do 3 more. 1, 2, and 3. Switch sides. Left dominant. We're going to go thrust, reverse thrust to the face, poke. This one I struggle with quite a bit because my left hand poking has less accuracy than right. So of course that's telling me I need more practice with my left side. Ready? Together with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, last one, 5. Good. Let's take a drink and cool down, guys. Hope you guys had a great workout. I know I did. Okay, cooling down. Just gonna do just like a shoulder cool down, stretching out those shoulders. Good, turning to the side. This is just a quick cool down, guys. If you need extra, feel free to stretch out after class. Stretch out those hip flexors. This is one that I always feel is extra good for my body. Great work, guys. Let's bow out, and I'm going to stick around for a few minutes to answer any questions anyone may have. If you guys are interested in training with me more, sign up. Global Martial Arts University, Ultimate Bo. I love training with as many people as possible. It's been a great class. Let's bow out. Harriet? Good. I'm going to stick around for any questions. I'm going to grab my towel because I'm a sweaty mess. Feel free to ask me any questions, guys. Quiet crowd. Any questions, guys? Feel free to type them in. Yes, sir. I do enjoy taking a round out of bob. It's very fun. The bob workouts, Sean, are actually some of my favorite because you get the feedback on the strike. It's great practicing, like if you have a tight space and you don't have a bob, that's all well and fine, but the feedback that you get, it really teaches you a lot about your bow. Like I've done it with hardwood bows in the past and with the rattan. I prefer the rattan. There's a little bit more feedback, like a little more give on the rattan. But it is nice for learning how your bow behaves when it actually hits something solid. So, yes, sir. Don't be shy, guys. Yeah, the pool cue, Sean, like, obviously it's not as powerful. And the way I look at that one, like a pool cue shot, whether it be like the advancing poke like that or going in a backward motion, is kind of like how I was demonstrating on bob. Like, I don't think that I would necessarily lead with that. I like to do that one personally when I'm retreating or backing away. Glad you could make it, Gavin. That's awesome. Always love when you guys can attend. Yeah, but anyways, back to Sean's point. Um, yeah, I like the pool cue shots when I'm retreating. To me, that's when they make the most sense because it's just establishing some distance. I know you could apply it moving forward, but my preference would be, if I was bow sparring, would be backing away. Because when you're stepping into the thrust, if they parry it. See you, Gavin. Yeah, I'll see you on next Saturday, 10:15 Saskatchewan time. Yeah, anyways, for me, Sean, it curl block that away when you're moving in. You're moving in and your bow is away from your body. So, yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. Pool cueing as a distracting or setup shot for sure. It's good at creating space. 10:58 p.m. there, ma'am. Well, I'm glad that you could make it for training. It's in the morning here. Okay, guys, if there's any more questions, we're going to log out. For our local students, make sure that you tune into my Zoom class next Saturday, 10:15 Saskatchewan time, and that is Bring a Friend class. I'd love to see us sharing bow with as many people as possible. I have some really fun things planned for next Saturday. I'm going to be having a local student come in, and we're going to go over some stuff, practical self-defense with a bow. So it's going to be pretty cool. Yes, Sean, I'll see you next Saturday. Have a great weekend, everyone, for our friends in the States. Happy Independence Day. We had our Canada Day on Thursday, which was awesome. So take care, guys, and we'll train next time.